All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another market update. It is Thursday, so this is going to be the last one for this week, and we'll continue doing them throughout next week as well. So I encourage everyone to join if you guys are able to. So let's go ahead and get started by going over the pairs that we were expecting moves from yesterday. Okay, so starting with USD CAD. USD CAD, we ended up taking a loss right here, and I actually was about to send another signal right here. Unfortunately, I do believe that had I done that, we would have also hit stop loss because that's the way things go sometimes. Our stop loss, well, if we were going to trade this properly, right? So if we're trading with the trend, which we are, weekly time frame is bearish, daily time frame is bullish, and 4 hour time frame is bearish. Okay, so the 4 hour time frame actually went bearish at the time that I was looking to take this entry. So I was not as confident in it as I would like to be. Okay, so if we were gonna take this trade, I would have taken it once the 4 hour candle would have closed bullish. Now, as you can see, 4 hour candle did close bullish, but it closed bullish all the way up here. It hasn't even closed yet. So that was not a great candle for us, but it did do exactly what we expected it to do. Price ended up pushing up. It never gave us the retest above this area of interest. Actually, didn't give us any good retests at all, realistically. Ideally, we would have broken above all of these structures, pulled back, kind of like the way we did right here, except this trade ended up hitting stop loss. If I had set my stop loss right here underneath all the previous structures, we would have still gotten hit with the stop loss. So this one was just an unfortunate trade overall. But we move on because the analysis was correct. It's just the entry was a little bit off. And that happens occasionally. Next is USD or GBP USD. GBP USD did the same exact thing we were expecting it to do. 4 hour time frame was bearish. We had broken below this 4 hour area of interest. Price pulled back into the 4 hour area of interest and then sold really, really nicely. Seems like I guess the USD pairs finally got some kind of stimulus from the market. I mean, the US government is still shut down from what I know. It could have changed the last time I checked, but I checked earlier today. Anyways, this is an amazing, amazing opportunity. I was not at my computer when this trade was setting up. This was at 8 in the morning. And later on in the day, price ended up pulling back into another area of interest of previous structure. And at that point, I don't think I was even looking at this pair. I saw that we had already had the reaction to the downside when I checked my computer this morning, and I didn't even see this pullback happening. I just expected price to continue to dump. And that's exactly what happened. So that's unfortunate. Once again, took a loss right here, but there were plenty of other opportunities to enter this market this week. So we'd been calling it out, but we just never were able to catch it for ourselves. What do we expect next from USD CAD and from GBP USD? Well, since this is the last call we're having this week, let's go over what we think might happen for next week, right? Technically, the weekly candle is about to close bullish, which is fantastic. The next step is going to be a pullback into an area of interest. Now, what I do expect to happen is I expect us to have a deeper pullback on a higher time frame, such as the weekly time frame. Okay. We have this huge weekly area of interest, which has been used multiple times. If price manages or ends up going bearish for some reason, at any point, let's say next week, we create a higher high, and then we go bearish into this area of interest, we will 100% be looking to take buys from there. And if not, then what I expect to happen is just a pullback once again into previous structure, which would be this one right here and this one right here for a continuation to the upside. Price here is moving very, very aggressively on USD CAD, especially with these few candles. After the almost week of consolidation, it seems like we had 1, 2, 3, 4 days. It's about time that we get some movement out of this market. Let's go ahead and clear this up. So yeah, just a pullback into, at the very minimum, this wick and these structures over here, if they load. Pull back into any of these structures, which is a huge daily area of interest. And if not this, then all the way down here. Now, if price does for some reason come down here, we have to understand the fact that we will have one time frame in sync, which will be the weekly time frame. Okay. So we'll have to wait for the 4-hour time frame to shift bullish before taking any buys out of this area of interest. And if it is this one right here, then we will still have the daily and the weekly in sync. But yeah, GBP USD, same thing goes here. Right now we're creating a lower low on the daily time frame, so that switches to right here. On the weekly time frame, this right here, I don't know why it looks like that. Okay. So on the weekly time frame, we have this structure point right here, which I believe price is going to target along with this EMA. We've seen multiple reactions from an area over here, and I would expect price to continue to react from this area of interest. We have 1, 2, 3 structure points. Yes, the weekly time frame is bearish, but I believe that we went bearish in order to have this push into the EMA. After this area of interest is reached, we'll have to wait for some kind of additional setup to take buys. For right now, sells are the best idea. So pull back into this structure right here. There seems to be a bit of an area of interest to sell into here. This is just for tomorrow, right? So tomorrow, if we see a pullback, we can expect to sell into the final area of interest. And if we break through this area of interest, then we'll consider taking even more sells. But this is a strong area of reversal. So I would expect a turnaround in price from here. Okay. CAD CHF. CAD CHF has just been having a continuation to the upside. We haven't seen any pullbacks into this area of interest. I think we kind of retested this area of interest instead. 1, 2, 3 structure points. We kind of had a little 1, 2 pullback and continuation. I still would like to see more bullish price action before let's see, daily time frame. Daily time frame's bullish. Weekly time frame. So the weekly time frame is actually about to shift bullish as well. Daily's bullish, 4-hour is bullish. Okay. So what I would like to see, if price here manages to close above this structure point, giving the weekly time frame bullish market structure, then a pullback into the daily area of interest would be fantastic. Daily area of interest, we kind of push up. Whoops. We push up, react from the EMA, pull back into previous structure or previous structure right here, and then have the continuation to the upside. Now that I'm seeing that daily area of interest, I'm starting to think that the weekly time frame might not actually go bullish. I think that we might actually just get a wick off of this EMA, and then price might actually break below the areas of interest and start to sell. But we'll see if that happens later on. USD CHF, perfect setup for buys. Weekly time frame is bearish, but the daily time frame did go bullish from right here, and then we had a pullback and we saw a continuation to the upside. Okay. So daily time frame went bullish. We had a perfect retest of this area of interest, exactly how I called out. Unfortunate loss right here seems to be the pattern this week. And when we are closing off in the negative, negative 0.5%, I believe. So that's the way that the signals group went this week. So yeah, we took this loss, and had we not closed early, we still would have taken the full loss, so minus 1% here. But let's see, stop loss was 20 pips. I guess we could have gotten 25, but it is what it is. We missed this entry right here, as I called it out yesterday. The break, the retest, and the buy, exactly how it happened. Now, what can we expect from the next week or the next day of price action? Well, right now we're at a higher high. We're at a higher high, and we have a inverted head and shoulders right here. So if price manages to come back into the inverted head and shoulders as it stands, we would remain above the EMA. We would retest the daily area of interest, and then we could see some buys. Now, the reason I think that this is possible is because if you look on this side of price action, price does like to break above and then retest this area. Here, it didn't do what we wanted it to do because we were technically underneath the EMA. Now, it will probably be a much quicker pullback, or it might be an even slower pullback, but I do expect to see a continuation to the upside after we retest the area of interest. So we would have two time frames in sync to take these buys, and that's exactly what I would expect to see. Similar on CAD CHF, if we do end up seeing a pullback, it could be a deeper pullback, like I explained, into this structure point over here, into these structure points, and into this area of interest. CAD CHF and USD CHF move very, very similarly in that aspect. Now, Euro CHF. Euro CHF, another CHF pair. I was going to say that price did exactly what we wanted it to do, and it did for short term. Had you taken sells off of this area of interest, you could have just sold straight into this structure point. But what I expected to see was an actual full continuation into the next area of interest, which is this one right here. It's an area of much, much reversal, major reversals, and then everything up here is just super, super, super choppy. So weekly time frame is currently bearish underneath the EMA. Daily time frame is currently bearish, pulled back into the area of interest with a rejection candle. 4-hour time frame is technically bullish. So we actually have like a little elbow right here, lower low, and we shifted bullish on the 4-hour time frame. Now, what we could see is we could see a double top forming right here. So we have one shoulder or one top, second top right here, retesting the EMA, and we might actually get that continuation to the downside. Now, it is a CHF pair, and as you guys can see, CHF pairs have turned around or are currently turning around, going from bearish to bullish. So I wouldn't be surprised if Euro CHF kind of followed suit. If we end up breaking above this area, say we create, let's see. So say we create a double bottom, which we did. We have a double bottom right here, and we have our neckline, which is also an area of interest. So if we're to break above this area, and then we're to retest this area of interest, then we could potentially catch some buys to the upside. Now, that is a very, very strong counter trend trade. We're underneath the EMA on Euro CHF. Unlike USD CHF, we're above the EMA. CAD CHF, we are underneath the EMA. So out of the three CHF pairs, USD CHF looks best for buys. The other two look like the sellers could still come into the market and push price lower. Okay. But yeah, that's basically it for Euro CHF. This one's a bit, I have kind of opposing opinions on this one. We could buy above this area. In order to take sells, I'm really not sure how we would manage those since price loves to just like there is no market structure here. It's just it's up or it's down or it's sideways. It just doesn't really make much sense. Similar to right here. Actually, I'm not sure. Here, price had created a lower low, and then it broke above, created a higher high, and then it broke below. I guess this would have been a perfect area to enter underneath the EMA, as you can see. Now, when price is about to break through an EMA, this is what it does. It pushes into the EMA, and then it reacts very aggressively, and then all of a sudden it just breaks through, retests, sells, okay? What do you see happening here? What I see happening is we pushed, we retested the EMA, we reacted off of it very aggressively, and now we're about to break through the EMA and push up. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. Obviously, if we come back on Sunday and price is all the way down here, then our entire opinion of the market here will be different. Okay, Euro CAD, on to the next. Euro CAD weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame has shifted bearish. We are now retesting this EMA. This EMA does not like to get broken. As you can see, when it does break, things can get a little choppy, it seems. But when we're above, then we stay above really, really nicely. But what do we expect to happen? Currently, we are retesting this area. Now, I can't really call it an area of interest because there's not an area of interest here. There's only two structure points. There's this structure point, and then there's this structure point. I wouldn't really count this as one, but there could potentially be a third if price reacts to the upside from here. Now, just looking back at what price has done in the past, this right here looks very similar to this right here, where we pushed up, we had a doji, we sold, and the week after we bought right back. What happened? We bought, we had a doji, kind of a doji, we sold, and then the following week we buy right back. It's not guaranteed, but it is just something that I'm noticing the market doing. Daily time frame is currently bearish, and 4-hour time frame is currently bearish as well. Price almost retested this area. I think we missed it by a few pips. 4-hour time frame just created a lower low. We are quite far underneath this EMA. Now, what you'll notice about, gosh, I just ate and food's not sitting right with me. The EMA on the 4-hour time frame. Okay, so when price pulled back very aggressively into this EMA and had the reaction like I broke down just now, price created a double bottom on the daily time frame. So there is that confirmation for the daily time frame. That's a pattern. And on the 4-hour time frame, what we had is price reacting from this EMA and then actually breaking above the EMA successfully and engulfing above the EMA. So the best area to take this trade would be anywhere after this engulfing candle. So you could have just entered and had your stop loss below the EMA, below the engulfing candle, and then you would have been completely fine for these buys. If you had entered right here, say you have your lower low, your higher high, higher low, you could have caught a buy. You would have been up quite a lot. You could have, let's see, say you were to enter late, you entered right there, and your stop loss was a whopping 45 pips. You would have been up about a 1-to-1, and then price would have hit your stop loss, and then price would have done its thing. So you have to be aware and actually pay attention to the EMA as well as price action. So same thing goes here. We just created a lower low. What we want to see is we want to see price push up and above the EMA. But since we just freshly broke underneath, you can see how we broke underneath, retested, sold. The next time we retested it, we sold again. So there's a good chance that the next time we retest this EMA, we will sell back into this area of interest and then actually see the buys happen very, very similarly to the way it happened here. Now, it doesn't happen that way every time, but I am just looking to see how, history repeats itself. So same thing here. EMA would go like this, and then right here is where we would take our buy. Stop loss would be right there. Okie dokie. Hopefully you guys are following along. Anyways, buys from here. Euro CAD. If you do want to take sells, the sells are available. They're just a little bit riskier. You could take these sells. They're not guaranteed to happen if you retest the EMA and sell. And the reason that that's not guaranteed to happen is because technically your price action did go bullish on the 4-hour time frame. Therefore, you would have 3 time frames in sync to buy. So here price action on the daily time frame was bearish, similar to the way we have bearish price action right here. Did you say buy now? Not buy now. No, do not buy right now. Next week. Okay, next week we'll look for some buys on Euro CAD. Because look at this, the buys here, they took almost an entire week to form. Is that true? Yeah, so the weekly time frame, and then the next week we bought. So next week, early next week, potentially take buys. Now, what could happen tomorrow, today or tomorrow, we could get this candle right here. We might get this buying candle reacting from the EMA. So we might actually be up here early next week. Now, the thing about this is, yes, you had a bullish engulfing candle, but guess what? You're probably still underneath the 4-hour EMA, and you're also retesting previous daily structure. So chances of us going up from right here are much lower than they are to go down from here and then finally go up. Okay. So it's literally the same thing. It's the same analysis. You have an area of interest right here. So it just makes sense. Everything I just said makes total sense. Because guess what? You have that same structure right here. And guess what price did? It retested that same structure and then sold and then went up. So if for some reason price completely invalidates all of this, it just breaks completely through the EMA, everything. Like see here, we're equal. We never broke above those structures. You're still inside of that area of interest. Here, if we're all the way up here, say come Monday, then all we have to look for is a retest of the EMA, retest of the area of interest, and then we can buy. If not, then we're still stuck in this scenario. GBP AUD. All right, we were on that one for way too long. GBP AUD weekly time frames breaking through the EMA. We are still bearish. I hate the fact that we have to say that we're not bearish. We're still bullish, but I hate the fact that we are bullish from right here. I mean, from January. I would prefer if we counted some of these structures, like if we were to say like, okay, we're going to ignore this entire thing right here, and we're just going to go off of what price is doing right now. And what price is doing right now is it's going down, it's technically bearish. But I don't make the rules, I just follow them. Daily time frame. What happened? Bearish engulfing, retested the area of interest, and sold. So daily time frame has created a lower low, or is creating a lower low. 4-hour time frame. Now, when we were having this call yesterday, what time was it? We were having this pullback right here. So it was around the same time. we were having this pullback. I can actually tell you exactly what time it was. 8 p.m. means it's 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock is right here. Okay, so we had just broken through this area. What did I say? I said pull back into this area of interest and then sells. Exactly what happened. Now, at the time that this happened, I was already dreaming in my nice warm bed, but the markets were moving, and some of you guys could have caught this move. Daily time frame bearish, 4-hour time frame is bearish as well. Now, the 4-hour time frame here, if you notice, has not created any structure. It has just been falling. We never had a 4-hour pullback. We didn't have anything like that. So we're going to see one of two things happen. We're either going to see a complete turnaround from here because price is going to fail to create a lower low, or we're going to create a new lower low and then have a push to the downside. Now, I prefer the second option. And if that's the case, then we will be looking for an area of interest to react from. That area of interest is more than likely going to be this right here. Okay, so you have these structures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a few wicks. We can technically retest these two structures right here. It's not a full area of interest though. And I lied. It seems like there are a few extra things down there, a few extra structures that we could use as our area of interest. So let's go ahead and use them. Okay, so we have 1, 2 structures right there. Nice wick in and push. 3, 4 structures. And now that I'm looking at it, price has already reacted. Price has already reacted to that. Well, it just got triggered. Oh, one of my alarms. Price has already reacted from this from this area of interest. Now you will notice something as well. Look at how big this buying candle is. This is not much of a pullback candle, I will say. This is more of a reversal looking candle, especially considering the fact that instead of coming in slowly and just building up, building up, building up to react to the downside, we aggressively entered and now we are kind of pulling back sideways. I've seen this before, and the next step is usually a break above the area of interest. Now, unfortunately, we can't really predict that. All we can say is price is technically at our area to sell. We have our 4-hour time frame in sync, we have a daily time frame in sync, and we have, well, we don't have the weekly, but you get the idea. Daily time frame needs a pullback. Same with the, or no, sorry, 4-hour time frame needs a pullback. Daily time frame needs to create a wick. So tomorrow, what I think is going to happen is we're going to create a wick like this into the area of interest, and then the rest of the candle is going to sell to the downside, right? Just a nice, easy continuation with the trend. Obviously not that large, but you get the idea. This pair likes to move in these type of patterns. It's very nice. Okay. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these other pairs. So for this, pull back to sell. AUD, NZD. AUD, NZD, we were looking at price to come all the way into our area of interest. And in order for that to happen, I said we would like to see a double top form. Okay, so what is price doing right now? Price is currently struggling to push up. If for some reason we create a double top on the 4-hour and then we end up closing down here, we never closed above this. No, we didn't. So if we end up closing bearish like this, then we will have gone bearish on the 4-hour time frame. Daily time frame will remain bullish, and weekly time frame will remain bullish as well. Technically, you would be underneath this EMA, which is fantastic. As you can see, this EMA literally holds price up like its life depends on it. If we can break through this EMA, which I'm starting to become a little bit more confident that we will, then we will be looking for a pullback into the EMA, into previous structures to sell into this area of interest all the way down here. Now, this is going to take literally a week or two to happen. It's not going to happen overnight. It's definitely not going to happen tomorrow. What might happen tomorrow is we might wick into this area of interest and actually get our bearish candle. Bearish engulfing candle like this would be fantastic. It doesn't have to be huge. In fact, it doesn't even have to be below this structure point. The only reason that I wanted it to go below the structure point is because one, will be underneath the EMA, and two, we will be underneath this double top, which if we can break below and then retest the double top, then we could sell. That would be a bit riskier than if we were just going to wait all the way down to here and then retest previous structure to sell, which I would prefer to do. Anyways, if you're looking to buy, you can buy. I mean, what you would have to wait for in order to take your buys is you would have to wait for price to break above this 4-hour area of interest. Notice it's not a daily area of interest, and then you'd have to wait for a retest of the 4-hour area of interest to buy. I'm not a huge fan of that. I prefer to buy from daily areas of interest and weekly areas of interest, but to each their own. On to the next, AUD CAD. AUD CAD. Weekly time frame is bullish. We are waiting, or did we already create a higher high? Never mind, that's not an elbow. I keep forgetting. Weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame has gone bearish. And we have, whoops, retested this structure for the sells, okay? Now, I was looking for buys because we only have daily. Nope, I lied. So right now, okay, this is actually really nice. So right now, what price is doing is it is retesting this previous structure and is also breaking below the EMA. I was looking for buys if we were able to buy above this structure point. Okay, if we're able to neglect this area of interest, which we were unable to do twice, price failed to break above the structure point. Now, if we do break above the structure point, that would be great. We can take buys above. But if not, then what we will wait for sells is we have a lower low, lower high, lower low. What we need is a reaction from this little area of interest right here. So what we did is we created a double top. Double top means we have a neckline. If we have a neckline, that means there's possibility for a break and retest of the neckline, also a retest of the EMA. Therefore, we will be able to sell. I think the reason that I was a little bit opposed to taking buy or sells is because we had this rejection candle from previous structure, which is also an area, a daily area of interest. Yeah, it is also a daily area of interest. So for right now, we're waiting on two things. We're waiting for the break and retest underneath the neckline, or we're waiting for a break and retest above the neckline, because we have both a double bottom if price breaks up to here, or a double top if price breaks below. Okay, so there's literally a trade either way we trade. If we are trading, well, that's a lie. Weekly time frame would be the only time frame we're trading with, because the daily time frame is technically bearish and the 4-hour time frame is also bearish. So I think that the sells are a better option to take here, but if you want to take buys, you would have to. That's an elbow. I didn't see that. No, that's a 2-hour time frame. Never mind. Yeah, the 4-hour is still bearish. Okay, yeah. So the sellers are definitely going to be, or the sells are definitely going to be the better option here. But I'm probably not going to take this trade because we're selling into a daily area of interest, and we are also selling into previous structure. However, anything is possible. AUD, wow. AUD USD, completely different. AUD CAD, AUD USD. So we avoided another probably 2 or 3 losses on this pair because we were waiting for the actual break above this area. Now, what you'll notice is on the daily time frame, what do we have right here? We have a double top, right? Daily time frame created a double top and it sold. So we created a double top. We broke above this structure point, then we broke below, we retested the area of interest, and we sold really, really nicely. Was there a way to take this trade? I highly doubt it. Daily time frame, bullish, weekly time frame, bullish, daily time frame, 4-hour time frame, bearish, lower low, lower high, lower low. Now notice how we were waiting for the time frame to go bullish. Since it never did that, we never took our trade, and we were not going to take a trade against our major time frames. So we would be trading with only one time frame in sync, and that is not a great opportunity for us. What would have lined up for us is this double top. That double top could have been our entry signal, but it's also a risky trade because we are retesting this daily area, daily EMA, as well as the daily area of interest. So there was just a lot going on in a small amount of time and a small area. So what are we waiting for now? Well, daily time frame is still bullish. Weekly time frame is still bullish. So we're just waiting for we're basically waiting for the 4-hour time frame to go bullish once more and show us that the sellers are basically done selling. This could have been price's full target, and then we might just see this becoming a double bottom, and then we might break above and retest and continue to buy from here. But the same thing, I'm still waiting for the same thing. It's going to be buys until the daily time frame goes bearish, which if it goes bearish, then we will be waiting for price to basically pull back into the area of interest and into the EMA in order to sell. Okay. It's really that simple. We're just going to continue trading with whichever trend is in our favor. GBP CAD. GBP CAD weekly time frame. Weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is bullish, and 4-hour time frame is bearish. So notice here how we also avoided another loss by not taking the buys until we broke above our area of interest. Unfortunately, we were unable to capitalize on the sells either. I kind of mentioned how price has reacted from this area multiple times in the past. If we were going to take a trade here, it would be a counter trend trade with only one time frame in sync, which would have been the 4-hour time frame. But if you notice, the 4-hour time frame was only bullish from right here. It was bullish from here to here, that means that we would have had to wait for this candle to close in order for us to take any sells at all, which is also not really ideal for us. So what are we waiting for here? We're either going to wait for the daily time frame to go bearish, similar to AUD USD, where if we close bearish down here, then we will just be waiting to retest previous structure, retest EMA, and continue to sell. If not, then we're going to still wait for the buys above this area, because then we will be creating a higher high, pullback to create the higher low in the area of interest to take buys to the next point. Okay. Wow, Euro USD is still selling. Weekly time frame is bullish, daily time frame is bearish, and 4-hour time frame is bearish as well. Price literally came back perfectly, retested and sold exactly as expected. Unfortunate that we had to take these losses. Where else were they? Was it USD CHF? Yeah, so USD CHF, same thing. Very, I think we took these in the same week. Yeah, we took these losses both at the same time in the same week because the setups were almost identical. If we put them side by side, they're the same, but they're inverted. So if we were to invert, then this is exactly what we're looking at here, but it's opposite. Anyways, you guys get that. What are we waiting for here? Well, you tell me. We already broke down USD CHF. What are we waiting for? We're waiting for a retest of previous structure, which is, I mean, our areas of interest are the same, which is not really surprising. But we're waiting for a daily pullback into structure, into EMA to sell. If not, what we might see is price breaking above, retesting, and continuing up. Similar to the way we did right here. You can see how it's literally almost the same size of candlesticks and everything if we were to break above this EMA and continue with buys, okay? And if that does happen, look at how perfectly we would be taking a trade right here. We have structure, so we have 1 structure point, 2 structure points, 3 structure points, 4 structure points above the EMA, retest, and buy, okay? As of right now, just waiting for the retest to sell, but that's future analysis for if price makes it all the way up to here. AUD NZD, we already talked about here. We already talked about AUD USD. Did we already talk about this? Yeah, we already talked about this as well. And GBP CAD. GBP CAD, what did we? Yeah, we talked about GBP CAD as well. All right, then let's go ahead and break down some of these other pairs. Excuse me, let me grab a sip of water. Okay. Ideally, I think we're supposed to drink like 2 of these. No, not 2 of these a day. That would be ridiculous. 1 every 2 days. This is 5 liters. 2.5 liters is still quite a lot, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, I'm trying to stay hydrated. AUDCHF, weekly time frame. Why is my nose so itchy? It's only when I have Zoom calls. Somebody called me out on it too. They're like, why are you always touching your nose? It's itching. Weekly time frame, lower low. Daily time frame, lower low. Now we are pressing up into this area. We never broke above this area, but price is attempting to break through. I haven't had much luck with AUD I'm not going to lie. But can you blame me when market structure looks like this? And then technically our daily structure point is right here. So what can you do? What can you do? Okay, weekly time frame is bearish. Daily time frame is also still bearish. 4-hour time frame is also bullish. So 4-hour time frame bullish. Why is that alarm there? Bullish structure on the 4-hour time frame, but the other two time frames are bearish. What can we expect? Well, what does it look like price is doing? To me, price looks like it's setting up with a head and shoulders, potentially. Now, the head and shoulders is really ugly because I don't even think I drew that right. I think this would be the head and shoulders. Okay, that looks much better. So we have a head and shoulders. Looks very, very disformed, but it is a head and shoulders nevertheless. In order for us to take sells, I would want price to break under this area of interest. Under the neckline, because as of right now, there's a good chance that price returns to this neckline, retests the daily area of interest, and continues to buy. However, if price breaks below the EMA, then retest the EMA and the area of interest, we will likely see sells. That would be trading with the daily time frame, with the weekly time frame, and at that time, also with the 4-hour time frame as well. Okay. That's what we're going to be waiting for. Now, if you want to sell, like let's say you wait for price to break below this structure point, you could maybe sell into the area of interest, but you have to be aware of the fact that one, you're above a bunch of 4-hour structure. Excuse me, I was getting a little late. Under the 4-hour, you're trading into a bunch of 4-hour structure points, into the 4-hour EMA and into the daily EMA and daily structure point as well, and daily area of interest. So you have a bunch of things in your way. If we wait for price to break through here, then you're not going to have much weight in your way in order to take those sells. NZD USD. Wow. So NZD USD is one that had quite a pullback. Weekly time frame's bearish. Daily time frame had a nasty, nasty pullback. We entered on Tuesday. We closed on Wednesday, and price would have come all the way back to our entry, literally. Could we have entered again? 100%. 100%. I would not have entered unless or until this pullback right here. So this was pretty fantastic. I can't lie. I'm not sure what I was doing, but I should have been trading this. What we see is we see the actual reaction. Okay, so these type of pullbacks are very, very dangerous because you could see price breaking above and just pushing up, right? Because we saw one 1-minute candle that was this entire 4-hour candle was caused by one 1-minute candle. I'm not like making that up either. That right there is our 4-hour candle. So what price was doing is it was filling in all of that inefficiency. It filled it in perfectly, like fantastic. Retested the 4-hour EMA and reacted from the 4-hour EMA. Now, why wouldn't I have entered on that initial push? Because the stop loss would have been too large. I lied. Stop loss here was way bigger. Ideally, we would be underneath this EMA. That's why I said the stop loss would have been too big, but that's not true. We could have entered after this, but it's always better to enter on a secondary retest rather than a primary push. So I do think that we could have entered right here. We could have been up 1 to 3, 1 to 4, similar to what we got out of this trade here. So I think it would have been about a similar return either way. So this would have been a 20 pip stop loss. We would have gotten a 1 to 2, 2.5. And had we entered on the secondary pullback, we could have entered off of a much, much closer push. It would have been this engulfing candle right here. And then our stop loss would have been above these wicks. So about a 10 or 15 pip stop loss. And we would have gotten about a 1 to 2 out of this as well. Yeah. So 1 to 2.5. Overall, a great move. Retested the area perfectly. This just shows you how price repeats itself over and over and over again. What do we expect to happen now? Well, I don't expect too much to happen. I do expect a continuation to happen. And we also need a daily pullback. So where would our daily pullback happen to? Well, we have previous structure right here. So that's one option, is to return to previous structure, which is also an area of interest. So I think that's probably the best depiction of where price might return to. It would be this area of interest, okay? Which price actually used from top to bottom for this pullback. So return to previous structure, return to area of interest, and then sell. NZD USD could have a continuation. Okay, actually, let's go through these and then we'll go and clear out a few of these because not all of them are possible this week. Not all of them will happen. Okay, we already went over AUD CHF. GBP NZD. GBP NZD is an interesting one. Weekly time frame, bullish. Daily time frame, bullish. What happened? We had an incredibly strong push to the upside, but we closed with no candle, just like wick, straight wick. Now, what is happening now? That was a pretty bad loss. That was this week's trade as well. What's happening now is price retested the major area of interest, which was a weekly/daily area of interest. We have 1, 2, 3 structure points. So we came back and retested that. We broke above the 4-hour EMA. So we were trying to break below. We failed and we broke back above. What's going to happen next? I mean, you tell me. What I expect to happen is, first of all, this wick is already telling us. Like, if you notice, okay, look at the daily time frame and then look at the 4-hour time frame. It almost kind of looks the same. Maybe the weekly. Where we have a pullback, then we have a big wick that needs to get filled in. Here we have a pullback and we have a wick that needs to get filled in. Obviously not the same. Scale is a little bit different, but the idea remains the same, where we're breaking above structures and we kind of need to continue to push up. So if we manage to break above this, the trade is waiting for us like so. Stop loss below. 55 pips is ridiculous. Wow. Okay, stop loss wouldn't be below this structure. It would be below this structure because we take our buys only once price engulfs above this area. Because we have what? We have a head and shoulders pattern. So we have shoulder, head, shoulder, retests of the neckline, and then push up. Or if you want to count this as the head and shoulders, then we are currently having the retest of the neckline, and we're retesting it a little bit deeper than expected. Either way, I would expect a continuation, pullback, continuation, at least into the same structure as last time. Now, Do I think it's going to happen today or tomorrow? Can it happen today or tomorrow? Absolutely. I just I'm not sure if well, maybe it will. Maybe it will. Yeah, one day, what do we have today? Today we have 3 more hours in the market, plus tomorrow we have about 24. 24 plus 3. So 28. That's seven 4-hour candles. 7 4-hour candles could 100% fill this in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So that would look like this much of a move. So we'd be about 3/4 of the way there. If we're just trending upwards, right? It's not guaranteed that we're going to be trending. We could be trending, pullback, other way around, trending, pullback, so on and so forth. Anyways, for the end of this week and next week, I do expect a continuation to the upside. And if that doesn't happen, well, then the 4-hour time frame is currently bearish. Well, then we will see what happens. We could be creating a bearish market structure to retest the EMA, but at the same time, we're trading with the trend. We have two bullish time frames at the moment. Euro NZD. Euro NZD, same thing as GBP NZD. I mean, almost identical once again. Pull back into previous structure to push up. It's pretty self-explanatory. But what I would wait for here is we can't wait for a retest of the double bottom. Retest the double bottom because there isn't much of a double bottom, and then the neckline would be like way up here. What I would say is there's this area of interest right here, right? So we have one, two, some other structure points here, and currently this right here. So what I would wait for is a break above, retest of the EMA, retest of previous structure, and continue to the upside. That's what I would wait for. GBP, Euro GBP. Euro GBP weekly time frame is currently bullish. Daily time frame is currently bearish. So daily time frame is bearish, weekly time frame is bullish. Now, what happened? We retested the EMA and we just engulfed to the upside. We engulfed to the upside and we never broke past this structure point, right? We never broke past this structure point. Therefore, the 4-hour time frame is still bearish. So sells are still possible from right here. However, I would prefer to take buys because the weekly time frame is bullish. So the better trade would be to wait for price to break above these structure points, to retest the area of interest, to retest the EMA, and then to buy. Why? Because then we'll have the 4-hour time frame in sync with the weekly time frame, which will lead us to target the daily time frame and make that go bullish as well. Okay. We also have a bit of a head and shoulders setting up. So we have a shoulder, head, shoulder, break above, retest neckline, and buy. Okay. So Euro GBP, kind of changing my mind a little bit on this one, looking for buys now. NZD CHF. Also, the reason I was looking for sells in the first place is because we had two time frames in sync to sell, right? So we had the 4-hour time frame is bearish, which it still is, and we had the daily time frame, which is bearish, which it still is. Okay. What I'm saying is I want to forget about the sells for now, and I just want to focus on the buys. If you want to sell, I mean, you can sell. You would just have to look for proper market structure to sell from. So it would be waiting for price to create a double top right here, then waiting for price to break below the neckline, and then waiting for price to retest the neckline, and then waiting for price to sell underneath the EMA. Okay. So it's the same thing. Really doesn't ever change. It kind of gets repetitive. NZD CHF weekly time frame. Still waiting on the pullback into previous structure. Um, CHF pairs had quite the CHF pairs had quite the sell. Okay, so they are actually turning around now. Even this one, like I really doubt it's actually going to break below. I think it'll just actually continue to push up. NZD CHF, you can see how it broke past this point right here. This point was a very, very strong area for sellers. They pushed the market all the way down past these lows. We saw price break above this area. It never actually broke above these highs, but I do expect the pullback and then a push up for that to happen. Okay. Overall, market structure is still very bearish. I just don't want to be selling from right here because where would my stop loss go? My stop loss would have to go somewhere that's not here. NZD-CHF still going to be waiting for the pullback. GBP-CHF, GBP-CHF weekly time frame is bearish. Daily time frame lower low, still bearish technically, and 4-hour time frame still waiting on the break and retest underneath this area. Okay, so we are kind of or low, higher high. So we are still waiting for price to break past this point on the 4-hour time frame. It is struggling to do that. But once we do close below, it doesn't have to be all the way down to here. It could just be a small close below, retest of the neckline or retest of the area of interest and then sell. That would be our best bet for this pair because at that point, the EMA will also push up and over like this, and then we'll get a nice entry right there. Okie dokie. NZD CAD, NZD CAD. Weekly time frame bearish. Daily time frame. Why do I have this marked up like this? I don't think I ever took this trade. Daily time frame retested the EMA and sold. Fantastic. So this trade's not done brewing, actually. It actually will still give us a continuation to the downside. And the reason I say that is because we had price above this EMA. Then we broke through the EMA and we retested the EMA. We never created the lower low. So we're still waiting on our lower low. Where can we enter this market? I don't know. So this would have been our entry, right? Actually, how do I change this? Our entry would have been after one of these selling candles, probably. Oh, actually, pull back into the EMA. Similar, very, very similar to NZD USD. Pull back into the EMA, but this one was much, much cleaner. I mean, realistically, we're at the area that we're going to sell from. Like, price is starting to find a little bit of trouble underneath this EMA. This is the 5-minute EMA, so don't really give it that much thought, but we are creating bearish market structure. So if you'll notice, we create a lower low, lower high, lower low, technically lower high, lower low. I don't think we're going to break above this point. And if we do, we'll create a double top and then we'll break below, retest neckline, and continue to sell. One thing is that we are pretty close to our area of interest. Daily time frame, once again, has this daily area of interest right here. and we have only seen price underneath once before. The best trade would be a break underneath the area of interest and then a retest for more sells. But since we're technically right here, we could also potentially capitalize off of a move to the downside. So if we were to enter right now, stop loss would technically have to be like right here, 40 pips or so. Not really worth it. Or if you want to be super, super risky, stop loss above this little area of interest, 22 pips. So that would be for pretty simple 1 to 2 if this area of interest doesn't completely turn price around. Okay, JPY pairs, are they starting a pullback? Looks like it. Looks like it. Maybe. On most of them, it does look like it. Except for USD JPY. This one looks like it's just pumping. This one was annoying. Okay, so the weekly time frame here was bearish. It's still technically bearish until this weekly closes. It's definitely going to close bearish or bullish after this. So when I was trading this, we were waiting for a retest of this area of interest. And when that happened, the first of all, the weekly time frame is bearish. Second of all, the daily time frame went bearish right here. And then price retested, didn't really retest, it just blew straight through this area of interest. So we were never in a position to take buys here. Like if we were feeling super, super risky, we could have taken a buy after this happened, after we created a double bottom, retested the double bottom, and then engulfed. That would have been a super, super risky trade, but 1 hour fair value gap, not something that I usually trade. Where's the 1 hour fair value gap? Right here. Oh, 1 hour. Sorry, that's the 4 hour. Are you talking about like for sells or what are you talking about right now? Because there's a gap right here, but price never really, I guess you could count that as being a retest of it. I'm not super huge into fair value gaps. It's not, I used to trade fair value gaps, just I find them better or more effective on indices. So NASDAQ and US 30 and things like that, which I will be trading, by the way. I'm going to be starting. So if you're in the Signal group, if you are going to be doing market updates with me, that's going to be something that we go over as well. I just need to hop on a call with a few buddies and kind of refresh my memory on a few of the concepts. But I decided to start trading them again. And I did actually trade NASDAQ today just to practice a little bit. Traded fair value gaps. This was the move that I caught or managed to catch. So we did actually create a lower low, huh? That's interesting. It was a kind of like a breakout slash pullback into the tiniest of gaps right here. That's not even what I was paying attention to when I entered. I actually entered immediately after this engulfing to the downside because we broke through this area right here. Basically just entered right here. Stop loss was just 25 points or so. Caught a 1 to 4. I was going to hold longer, and if I had, I was trailing my stop loss right here. This is where I set it to trail to. And I don't think it would have triggered. I don't think it would have triggered. But what happened is I waited for the pullback. I sat through this entire pullback and I watched price drop all the way back into this double bottom. And as soon as we had this like pullback candle, I exited like right here. So I got like a perfect exit on this move. Price did end up creating a double top as well, broke through, retested the double top neckline or whatnot, maybe a triple top, retest it, and then continue to sell. I'm not a huge fan of these type of moves. Like Nasdaq moves, like they give me anxiety, especially when they move really, really quickly. But yeah, we'll be getting back into that, so I'm pretty excited. I'm not going to be stepping away from Forex at all. I'm just going to be trading them simultaneously. Now, what is nice about Nasdaq is I'll be able to do not market updates, live trading with you guys, like actually sit down for 2 hours a day and trade the markets, give signals, all that type of stuff while you guys are on a call with me. And then trading is less boring. With Forex, we tried to do that, but the issue is that you never know. You never know when the moves are going to happen. So we could be on a call for 24 hours and then still miss our entry. Okay, so JPY pairs are all having a pullback. We're going to continue to wait on the pullback. All time frames are bullish except for the 4 hour. If you want to catch a counter trend trade, right now is your chance. One time frame in sync. Wait for a pullback into what I would expect is previous structure, like so, and also into the EMA. Okay, so both of those, it's as simple as it gets. It almost looks just like that NASDAQ entry where you have your little trend line, you have price trading above, you have your shift, you have your pullback into EMA, into the trend line, whatever. And then all you have to wait for is a reaction to the downside, and you can hop in on the trade. Pretty tight stop loss as well. I mean, it is counter trend, so you want to squeeze out as much as possible. And then that's your trade right there. I mean, you probably won't hold all the way back into the previous structure because previous structure is so far away. But what you could sell into is maybe this structure right here. Yeah, for like a 1 to 2 or a 1 to 3. Yeah, not interested in that for now. Euro USD, Euro AUD, sorry. Weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is bullish. We closed above this structure point. We pulled all the way back into the same structure point or into the same area as the first time we reacted. And what happened? Price pulled back into our area of interest, previous structure, sold as expected. I mean, it's perfect. We sold, pulled back, sold. Now what we're doing is we're starting to shift above 30-minute EMA. So if price successfully shifts above this area of interest and maintains above the 30-minute EMA, we could potentially see a turnaround in price. Now, the 4 hour time frame is bearish. The daily time frame is bullish. So if the 4 hour can go bullish, that would be even better. But if not, then we're just trading lower time frames as price starts to shift. Ideally, what you would be trading is a break above this area of interest, because at that point, the 4 hour time frame will go bullish. You will be trading above the EMA, and then you can take buys upwards. For right now, if you want to take sells, the same structure point applies to this area of interest to continue to sell. That is basically it. It's not a trade that I took, but it was one that I was going to take. Wow. What? Incredible. Return around on gold. I mean, this is not surprising for gold. Gold always likes to create all-time highs and then have ridiculously quick pullbacks. That looks like more than just a pullback. What happened? Daily time frame is going to engulf the downside. Now, when that happens, price usually trades downwards for a while. Like if you notice, anytime something like a huge, huge selling candle happens, we have multiple days of selling, like here. engulfing, sell, 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 engulfing, sell, 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 engulfing, sell, sell, sell. Okay, so what we're seeing now is, well, except for here, I guess these are, um, how do you call it? Singular cases. Like these are like unicorns where price engulfed, we sold one day and then we just continued to buy. This selling candle is different. You can notice it's literally twice the size of any of these. There's a lot of volume being traded. So what I'm thinking is we're probably going to do one of two things. We're either going to sell really aggressively into the EMA, which is a lot of selling. I mean, that's gold losing $400 in value, or we're going to start trading sideways. So if we start trading sideways, then the EMA will eventually catch up. So then by the time we're like right here, EMA, so we do this, we do this, we do this, EMA catches up, and then we do why is it? Oh my gosh. Gold to 5K by December. Um, Gosh, I hate my nose right now. Gold to 5K by December. I don't know. I don't know. It depends on how well Trump does at his job, you know? Gold to 5K by December. Gold doubled in price. I've watched gold almost every day for the last 4 or 5 years now, and I've been watching it trade since over here, like since 2020. I've watched gold double in price, and I've barely made $1 off of it, you know? Like, especially since most of the move, like I never really traded gold. It's more like I've um I've analyzed it for other people a lot. But yeah, right now we are underneath, very, very far underneath this EMA. As you can see, price usually hugs it pretty well. Just trades above it, barely underneath, barely above, barely underneath. And then here we are. We are so far away from this EMA, it's not even funny. So what we can wait for is one of two things. We either wait for a retest of this EMA. Where's an example? We either wait for a retest to sell, or, which is my preferred option, I have so many of these, or we go for a break above, retest to buy, similar to right here. So we're below, retest sell, broke above, retest buy, retest buy, retest buy. Okay, that's why I had the little buy position marked up right here. Why? Because it retested the 30-minute EMA and it had a lower time frame shift the structure and gold started to buy. Same thing right here. Underneath, above, retest buy, retest buy, retest buy. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to break these down. These are, I need to actually come up with a game plan for trading US 30 NASDAQ. But for right now, what I'm seeing is we broke below the 4-hour EMA. Here, we're above the 4-hour EMA. And here, we're very far above the 4-hour EMA. So, not much telling there. Um, under the 1 hour, under the 1 hour, and above the 1 hour. So, a little bit of a difference in terms of where price is at. But overall, it's going to continue to go upwards most likely. I don't see any reason for price to crash or anything, but maybe. Oh, am I still drawing? That's why. What I would expect is maybe a pullback into area of interest under the EMA to sell. I wouldn't sell all the way down to there, maybe into this structure point or this one or this one or this one or that one. But one at a time, one at a time, one day at a time. The beautiful part about NASDAQ and US 30 is that they move super, super consistently. Like if you learn how to trade these types of pairs, it's like copy paste, right? You just have to identify the market structures. Like it's not always going to be bullish. You can see how often it goes from bullish to bearish. Like you'd think here we're going bearish, but we're actually still bullish. it'll do that so much. But there are times where it plays out perfectly, even with um, trading just purely by market structure. But yeah, okay. So keep an eye on that one. Bitcoin, Bitcoin. I saw it hit, was it 126? Yeah, so we're starting to push. Like we were moving sideways for a while. Like here we're moving sideways, sideways, sideways. We've finally broken the high. So we're probably going to continue to retest and buy. I wouldn't be surprised. So there is structure right here. Area of interest, retest previous structure, PMA, and continue on up with this party, right? In fact, if we look at the weekly time frame, what do you notice? What happens is we have kind of like little double top pattern sells. Even here, I guess technically we like break above a high, retest, buy, break the high, retest, buy. Now on the daily time frame, what do you notice? We just broke the high, retest, buy. Okay, so obviously not financial advice. I'm not a Bitcoin investor. I just analyze markets. Okay. But yeah, that's basically it for today, ladies and gentlemen. You guys have any questions? Yes, no, maybe. No, I'm soaked. All right. No questions. And we are done. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on Sunday. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Good luck trading tomorrow. Pretty sure my week is basically over. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's quickly go through and pick what we think is going to happen, what's not going to happen, and then we'll be done. Okay. So pull back to sell, quite likely on the 4 hour. This could happen on the 4 hour. This could happen 4 hour. Probably not going to happen today. Probably not going to happen. I mean, we have what, 6 4 hour candles left in the week? You know what? I'm going to clear our list. Just interested trading. Okay. Really quickly, this could take place. Highly doubt it. There needs to be a lot of pulling back there, lots of pulling back here, hella pulling back. Could be a quick retest, break in retest, could happen really quickly. Um, could happen really quickly. Lots of pulling back, lots of movements. No idea. This could have a break and retest underneath. Nope, nope, nope. Uh, maybe, potentially, maybe. CHF, nope, nope. Maybe that. What is this supposed to mean? Oh, that means I'm not a huge fan. Yeah, this could actually sell tonight. I think there could be a continuation there. JPY, JPY. Okay, so for the JPY pairs, these are basically all tradable for short-term sells. Counter trend, obviously, I marked this one up for you guys so that you can kind of see what I'm talking about. It's very, very high risk. Under the EMA, I would only enter after a bearish engulfing candle. I wouldn't really test my luck too much with this pair. Other JPY pairs, nothing. And last but not least, there could maybe be a potential continuation to the downside here. The break and retest probably wouldn't happen this week. If it does happen, it would happen next week. Okay. So these are the pairs that we are mostly watching. I know there's a lot of them, but that's the way things happen sometimes. Obviously, it just takes one glance to know if price is at your area of interest or not. Here we need a break and retest. Here we're just pulling back. Okay, wait. Pull back sell, pull back sell, break and retest, break and retest. What is this one? Okay, so this one is kind of a break and retest as well, but this is on a lower time frame. So technically, that's for you to decide. Break and retest, break and retest, break and retest. Pull back to sell. These two are side by side. Break and retest. Pull back to sell. That's a sell. And CHF. Pull back to sell. Okay, so these are the pairs in terms of if you just need a pullback or if you need a break and retest. These are the ones that need a pullback. NZD USD pullback to area of interest to sell. NZD CAD pullback into like a lower time frame area to sell or into the EMA. GBP AUD pull back into the area of interest to sell. This one's a little bit riskier because we've already retested the area of interest and sold before. Obviously, price retests the same area of interest multiple times sometimes, so that's kind of what we're hoping for, but it is not guaranteed. There's obviously this chance that we break above. I think I was on a different pair, but the idea remains the same. If we're above the area of interest, then we are not looking to sell anymore. CAD JPY, high risk. This one will probably go to the top of the list because it's probably going to happen really, really quickly. And then the rest of them are break and retest above, break and retest. Okay, so this one is break and retest above or pull back to sell. Break and retest above or pull back to sell. I guess break and retest to sell. Break and retest to buy. So that one could go above the other break and retests. Yeah, that one goes there. And then Euro NZD, break and retest to buy, break and retest to buy. And last but not least, break and retest to sell on GBP CHF. All right. That is it. Thank you guys for watching. Ended the week off with 5 solid viewers. Hell yeah. All right. You guys are awesome. Have a blessed weekend, and I'll see you guys on Sunday. Bye bye.